Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Randini and Rosa and Nitai. I just met and near the window. I got a lot of stuff here because I brought all the weapons because we're going to talk about weapons today. So I've got this big print Bhagavad Gita, which is so nice to read when you're older. And then Canto 4. We'll be reading from Canto 4.
Astra means weapon.
Yeah.
And Shastra means the supreme weapon.
We got a lot of them in this movement. We're going to read from chapter 11, Canto 4. Chapter 11 is Swayambhuva Manu advises Dhruva Maharaj, and we'll be reading text number 9. 4:11:9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskricha Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of Godhead Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Praya Shubhadri Rishi Nicham Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavaru Tamashloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed in loving service under the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. All right. This is text 9, and there's no purport, but it's got lots to talk about anyway. I'll read the Sanskrit for text number 9, 4:11:9. Nanvikasha paradena.
Nanvikasya paradena.
Prasangat bhavahohata.
Prasangat bhavahohata.
Braturvada vitaptena.
Braturvada vitaptena.
Tvayanga brat rivatsala.
Tvayanga bratrivatsala.
Nanvikasha paradena.
Nanvikasya paradena.
Prasangat bhavohata.
Prasangat bhavohata.
Braturvadha vitaptena.
Braturvada vitaptena.
Tvayanga bratrivatsala.
Tvayanga bratrivatsala.
Nanvikasha paradena.
Nanvikasya paradena.
Prasangat bhavohata.
Prasangat bhavohata.
Braturvadha vitaptena.
Braturvada vitaptena.
Tvayanga bratrivatsala.
Tvayanga bratrivatsala. Nanvikasya paradena.
Nanvikasha paradena.
Prasangat bhavohata.
Prasangat bhavohata.
Braturvada vitaptena.
Braturvadha vitaptena.
Tvayanga bratrivatsala.
Tvayanga bratrivatsala. Anybody online want to do the verse?
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I'm Dini too. Okay, both of you.
Go ahead.
Nanvikasya paradena.
Nanvikasya paradena.
Prasangat bhavohata.
Prasangat bhavohata.
Braturvada vitaptena.
Braturvadha vitaptena.
Tvayanga bratrivatsala.
Tvayanga bratrivatsala. Bhakti Rosa, would you like to?
Nan Vekasyat Paradhena
Nandikasya paradena.
Prasangad Bahavo Hata
Asangad bahavo hata.
Ratur Vadha Bitena
Raturvadha pitatpena.
Vayanga Bratur Vatsala.
Vanga bratri vatala.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, Rukmini. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My dear son, it has been proved that you are very much affectionate towards your brother and are greatly aggrieved at his being killed by the Yakshas. But just consider, for one Yaksha's offense, you have killed many others who are innocent. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pachari Nirvishesha Shinivani Pasha Chade Shatarani. Hare Krishna. As much as I've gleaned from this verse, a lot, as always, I just reading it with y'all saw something I didn't even think about before. And so I just get excited that there's always knowledge available, no matter what our mood, no matter what we're doing in our life. There's something there, even if there's no purport. Last time I didn't have a purport either. But I saw so much in this verse, I decided to look at all the parts and pieces and see what I knew as Laksmipriya, where I am today in my life as a devotee. In this decade, in this time in my life, in this age, what do I know? Like, what do I know from all the reading and the classes I've attended? It doesn't feel like much, and it feels scary to even have anything to say. Do I have anything to say that somebody hasn't already heard before, or that will have any impact or any kind of enthusiastic vibration whatsoever? So my duty, my prescribed duty is to serve Srila Prabhupada, and so I'm gonna take what I can out of this verse and just be where I'm at. I want to be somewhere I'm not. I want to be more advanced. I want to know more. I want to rock your world with this stuff because it rocks my world. But most of the people here are more experienced than me. So then without going into my head, I just go, well, let me present to you what I have. So I was yesterday morning, we were having morning Mangalarti at Prabhupada House with a few of our devotees, and as I was seeing Purvastakam, and there's a big whiteboard there next to the altar, I said, well, how many topics are there in this? I mean, I'm singing and I'm leading, but still my mind can wander, but at least it wandered to Krishna. So how many topics can there be in one purport? I mean, one verse without a purport, like how many? And I just found another one. So there's endless. It's endless. And I don't have the kind of experience and practice that I want to have and that some people have. So I know that there's even more, there's beyond endless. So it doesn't look like much. If you're looking from a material perspective, it looks like a few sentences. And there's words in there that if I shared this with a neighbor, they wouldn't know what these words mean, but we do. So, my dear son is being spoken by Swayambhuva Manu, who is Dhruva's grandfather. And he has a big role in this world. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about relationships and things. But I wanted to share with you, because in my pocket here, I have all these cards that when I had that thought yesterday leading Mangalarti, I said, well, I just went to the board and I wrote my thought down before I forgot it. Even though I was singing, I wrote down, well, how many subjects come out in me when I read this verse? And then I can just, when I'm leading class, I'll just expound on those subjects because there's no purport. And I thought, well, 5 or 6, but I got all these. So I'm going to share with you all. And all these cards are what I know. That's all I know. There's not much. It kind of reminded me of studying for graduate school, you know, at the end, they give you that big test on everything you've learned over the few years, and there, you can take in one note card. At least at the University of Alabama, you could. So you had to squeeze it, and you don't know what they're going to ask because it's all essay questions. It feels kind of like that, but I'm not to compare it to a material experience, but I use a lot of note cards when I'm learning verses and things. So the most obvious is anger, right? Because Dhruva's angry. Someone's killed his brother. And not just someone, these crazy yakshas. I didn't even know what the yakshas were, so I had to read about that. And then there's spiritual progress, because this whole thing is unfolding. His grandfather's coming to redirect him, so he's getting an intervention. Otherwise, spiritual progress is going to spiral downward, even though he's a pure devotee. That's a big topic. And then there's skin disease. Oh, my brother, I'm so mad and angry that you killed my brother that I'm going to kill 130,000 of you. Crazy, right? And that's affectionate attraction to family life, which we all experience. And so this is my topic today. This is my topic: course correction. So Swayambhuva Manu, why not his spiritual master? Because that seems like he would have come, but it's his grandfather, because this is about a family situation, and his father is already left the house, so they live in this, palace, and Dhruva is the ruler of the world. He's ruling this kingdom. He was only 5 years old, but he experienced God firsthand. So he has all the Vedic knowledge. He didn't even have to go to Gurukul. He just has it, even as a young kid. So the father says, well, you're in good hands. So he goes out to find his own spiritual progress. He's left before Dhruva even got married. And Dhruva already has wives and kids at this point. It's not much about that, but it's true. So course correction. So we're doing a course correction. We can all relate to that, because I know I have to course correct multiple times a day. I catch myself doing something ridiculous, or even having ridiculous thoughts. Even in here chanting, I have ridiculous thoughts, and I course correct. But I'm looking at how many times people in my life, devotees, teachers, leaders, have course corrected me. Even my grandfather was a good person, and I remember some course correction there. So we wouldn't think that Dhruva wouldn't need much of that, because he's seeing Krishna face to face, and he's a pure devotee. But he's still in this material plane right now. He's got 36,000 years to do here, so he's struggling with anger. And so then we got the yakshas. I'm like, who are the yakshas? I know he's been fighting them during this chapter, but I didn't know much about them. So I looked them up, read a little bit about them. They're kind of interesting characters. I'll get into them later. And then we were just reading chapter 7, the strength of the strong. So last week I read a class on the strength of the strong. And there's strength here. Dhruva has immense strength. He's one man fighting 130,000 yakshas. And he's got these amazing arrows. I'll get into that in a minute. So the strength of the strong, like, what do we use our strength for? Like, I have strength. I have some strength in the kitchen. I have strength to rise early. I have strength to learn Sanskrit. I have yoga strength. I'm a yoga teacher, asana yoga. And it strengthens me so that I can do this. It gives me vitality. And all the strength that I have, if I use it for Krishna, that's Krishna's strength he's given me to use. But yesterday I was listening to Prabhupada in the kitchen, and I don't remember what I try to, on that little box. It's so hard to figure out what verse and where if you go back, I get lost because I don't understand it. But anyway, he was talking about, like, whatever you have, just use it for Krishna. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to perfect it. You don't have to go educate yourself on it and be the best at it and then give it to Krishna. You just start giving whatever you've got right away, right? So I have some things, and those strengths are Krishna's strengths that he's given me to serve. And I have teachers who show me how to use those in Krishna consciousness rather than my ego, self-serving consciousness. So that was, I really like chapter 7, and I'm still reading it and working on the questions, because I have a problem. I have a problem where I can't just answer the question. I have to answer the question and read some more and then read some more. And I get so caught up in one question. For example, one of the questions in chapter 7 is listed, what are the 24 elements of Sankhya philosophy?
You're referring to our
Yeah.
But our Sakato Bhagavad Gita.
Yes. It's a beautiful course if you haven't taken it. I don't think most of y'all have, but if you haven't, Nitai, it's a beautiful thing to take a month, sometimes several months, sometimes a year, to go into each chapter. Dear Govinda provides a list of really deep questions, and on the surface, that one looks like a regular old question, right? What are the 24 elements? Well, you can list them, earth, fire, water, ether, what you can list them, but I'm like, that's he knows them, I know them, so why do I need to put them on this paper? There's more to it than that. And then I read Canto 3 about Sankhya philosophy a year ago. I don't remember much, but what's he really asking? So the seed gets planted in my heart, my soul. It starts working on me. I write some stuff. It feels willy-nilly, hair carry, unimportant. So I don't want to go to the next question because my brain can't handle too much at one time. So I stick with that and I just watch for it. I watch for it in my life. I watch for it in the classes I listen to by Srila Prabhupada. I listen for it in the classes that Anasuya and Rosa and Allison teach in our Mangalarti in the morning. I listen for it. I'm waiting for some kind of more important, more satisfying, more deeper understanding, deeper knowledge. And then I go back to it, and then I'm never really satisfied with what I write. But I don't want to go to the next question because my brain will explode. Because if I'm thinking about two things at one time, somehow that gets me a little crazy. So this strength of the strong came up. We just read that a month ago, and I'm still reading it. So I taught a class on it last week, and then I can really I know that you know this, dear Govinda, but I'm just learning it. So anything I pick up in here in the Bhagavad Gita in this beautiful book, I can find it. I can apply it to this purportless translation. And then there's animal slaughter. He doesn't mention animal slaughter, but he's killing. Probably calls it wholesale killing. You just kill the whole batch. Innocent people, women, children, dogs, animals, cows, the whole batch. Kill them all because one person did something. We see that every day in this world. My God. And so there's so much negative karma from that and so much reaction. So that's why Mugamana has swooped in because Dhruv is headed that way. He's about to get off course and he's killing all the men, all the yakshas, not just the one. So that's what we do with animals. That's what we do with people too. I mean, so much. I won't go into the details of it, but it caused me to go read a little bit. I don't understand it all, and I don't even know if I'm reading the right version, but I did go read some of the Manu Samhita to try to see what these laws were about. And there's a lot in there about slaughtering. As far as I could tell, I wouldn't want to preach on that because I don't know very much. And then there's killing, just killing, violence for killing. Like there's it's unsanctioned unless you kill for spiritual, religious reasons, and you're killing for Krishna to defend Krishna's honor, to defend Manu Samhita, to defend these books, to defend Prabhupada, then there's some release of those sinful reactions because there's purpose behind it, and it's not just about ego or taking things over or being in charge or being the leader that is caught up in their own power. So we see that a lot today too. And then there's the weapons, what we started with, the weapons. So this Narayanastra, is that what it's called? Something like that. I don't know the pronunciation, but Narayan gave it to him. So he's got this ultimate. Dhruva he's in Alakapuri, which is way up north in the Himalayas, where these yakshas live. They're kind of mystical up there. But he's up there with one chariot driver and himself. And he's fearless. He just got up there and started a war. And he didn't segregate out the women, children, cows, and the helpless people, the vulnerable population. He just started fighting. But he's got these arrows that are powerful because they've been given to him by Narayan. So he has a weapon. He doesn't need a whole army. He's got this powerful thing. So it seems crazy to imagine, but the comparison, I guess, is that we have a weapon. We have the Maha Mantra. We have Prabhupada's books. We have Prabhupada. We have association. We have each other, hold each other accountable. And so Krishna's already come face to face with Dhruva, but now Dhruva's up there. He's grown up. He's matured. He's supposed to know better. He's comes from a lineage of Kshatriya warriors, so he knows what to do. But anger got the best of him. So he pulls out this weapon, and it's like a golden feather, the golden rod. The stick of the feather is golden, and the feather part on the end is made of swan's feathers. And when you shoot it, it hisses like a peacock. It makes this and it crows out really loud. So you hear the yakshas hear them coming, and he's showering them on the yakshas, and most of them are gone. And they're showering them back at him, and nothing's touching it. That's how we apply the Maha Mantra to our life. Dhruva's being rescued. He doesn't really need to be rescued, except that he's gone off the deep end on the anger. So he's got family coming. And to remind him, and of course it's Manu, because this is sacred law. It's the law of the land. It's natural law. Remind him to remember the law. So the weapons, these are weapons, this little stack of weapons right here. And I have lots of weapons. And then there's leadership, obvious leadership. He's the leader of the kingdom, of the household. He's got children and wives, family. He's got an example to set. And Prabhupada tells us in chapter 3 that the leader has to do it first. First, you study to be a leader, which he's already been given all the Vedic knowledge, but then you practice it and teach and lead so that the whole population can benefit from our behavior, those of us who are leaders. And so Dhruva has a huge responsibility to lead his population, to set the example. He's fallen off track for a minute. So he has to be rescued by somebody, but of course he's going to get rescued because he's a pure devotee and he's a surrendered soul. So in order to get that kind of rescue, I mean, Krishna can give you causeless mercy anytime, but Dhruva knows better. So he sent someone, Krishna has sent Swayambhuva Manu, his grandfather, to correct the course. And Dhruva has such a responsibility to represent their lineage, the Kshatriya's duty, all the things that are going on. Dhruva is like a role model. He's the #1 role model. So in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada talks about this, about you can't tell people to stop smoking if you're still smoking. I had parents that I didn't smoke, but my sister did, and my mother smoked while she told my sister not to smoke. Remember that? So the dutiful leadership, behaving like a leader. And then there's religion and irreligion. I mean, this is really all in there. It doesn't say it, but it's in there. To me, it's in there. So you've got Dharma and Adharma. So the Dharma, we serve. We serve Krishna in everything we do. David was reading this morning. I don't remember which story it was or who we were talking about, but you just stay in service all day. You go from the next yagya to the next yagya to the next one. And if there's time in between, you might get angry or full of skin disease or redirect and get off course. And it sounds so beautiful. And when we do that, like this morning, so far so good, right? We got up, we took a shower. We drove from Melrose. I drove from Melrose 40 miles to be here and chant and sing, and all the things that verse I read before we started is to be connected to Srimad Bhagavatam. It's going to heal my heart. It's going to purify me. And then we chanted for 2 hours, and we haven't done any selfish acts so far. I mean, maybe there's some mental stuff going on, but to be here. Anasuya asked me, she dropped by Prabhupada's house yesterday on her way home, and she said, "Why are you driving up there? Why don't you just do it from here?" I was like, well, that's not my point. My point in June was to commit to more association than I have available to me at Prabhupada house, even though Prabhupada's there, Krishna's there, all the books are there. I'm the only devotee there. And I want personal association, even if it is just me and dear Govinda and Nitai. And now we've got a little group here. See, it's beautiful. But to stay in the temple at home It doesn't have the austerity for me. It doesn't have the, it's easy, right? So getting up at 3 instead of 4, and then driving in the dark, I don't see well at night. Luckily, there's not a lot of cars and the lights aren't deflecting my vision, but, and then being in pure service for as much as I can for these 4 or 5 hours. And now when I leave here, there's slippery slope. We know it. So, passion, anger, greed, and all the things that Dhruva's experienced that I experience when I leave here, I have less and less of that. I'm grateful to have bhakti in my life because I don't swing, my pendulum doesn't swing so far apart anymore, and it's very rare that I get angry, upset at something. And when I do, it's momentary. So it's, I haven't had the yakshas kill my family yet, so I don't know. And I'm not a Kshatriya by nature, so there's a lot. But we're defending religion, and we're defending against irreligion because it's out of alignment with natural law, and that's happening here. And then we have the big one, prescribed duties. Like Dhruva has some prescribed duties. You and me, we have prescribed duties. We don't want to do things that aren't prescribed, and Prabhupada gave us a whole prescription. Get up early, start thinking of Krishna immediately, stay close to Krishna all day, chant, read, hear, listen, share, bring other people to Krishna consciousness, think of Krishna 24/7. Don't forget Krishna 24/7. We have duties. And then on top of that, we have duties that are our regular day-to-day household stuff. And try not to get all caught up in the household stuff so that we can stay focused on Krishna consciousness and stay stuck to Srila Prabhupada, like Durga was speaking about this morning during our chanting reading. It's you got to set it up. You got to set it up for success, right? So it has to be. It's up to us. I mean, there's some really good things happening in each of our lives. I'm sure. I know in my life, I got handed a beautiful place that has a beautiful temple room, and I have a lot of responsibility there, but it's so much easier to do it there than it was in my other life before I lived at Prabhupada House. So setting up the morning structure, setting up the meal structure, all of it, that's our prescribed duty too, so that it aligns with Krishna consciousness and it doesn't get off into me, what I want, what I think looks good. So my prescribed duties, dovetailing everything. I mean, I think about that, everything I do, and I try so hard, and somehow all during the day there's things that don't get dovetailed. But prescribed duties are our goal. I mean, we have to know that they exist, and we have to know what they are, and we have to aim for that, and we have to work at it. And it's not a have to energy. It's like this, when David was teaching about chapter 8 last week, he used the example of dunking the man underwater, and he comes up for breath. He thinks he's getting some relief. I feel that a lot. Bhakti gives me relief. I don't even have a miserable life anymore, but anything that goes off track, I get to come back to bhakti to feel relief. So it's still about me. It's not necessarily about being, serving Prabhupada and Krishna and developing a loving relationship. I don't know what that looks like. I've never had a loving relationship in my life. And so I don't know how to do that, but I know that I want to do that. And I know that this is what's going to take me there. So I get to check in on my prescribed duties and follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions to the best of my ability. And each year it gets a little easier. Each year I want to do more. Yesterday, when I read this translation to prepare for class, and I pulled out this stack of index cards, and I sat at the kitchen table, so I wouldn't open 500 tabs on my computer. I just did it old school style at the table, where there's lots of room. We have a big table and spread out all the books and my notes and my class notes from different classes I go to or teach and see. And I looked at that spread like I always do, and I feel that sense of this is what I want to do. This is this prescribed duty that I enjoy, and I know I'm not the enjoyer, but because I like it, I do it more than if I didn't. It's not work to me, but there's intimidation and there's scary stuff, and there's I don't understand, and there's difficultness, and there's my material me trying to get in the mood, and there's things I look around and see that I want to distract myself with. And it's not because I don't want to read more verses. It's hard. It's to sit with ourselves and sit with what's being told to us here as Swami Manu speaks to Dhruva, to sit in that and say, what's in this for me? What is, why am I reading this thousands of millennia later? It Prabhupada thought to transcribe it for us, and we're muddling through it. I'm muddling through it slowly. I've got so many cantos to go, and I always feel that this year I'm going to finish this part of Canto 4 before January 1st is my goal. But I don't want to just read it. I want to sink into it just like I do Bhagavad Gita verses to the best of my ability. But it's not my absolute nature is not philosophical. It's not, I mean, I love learning, but it's easier to learn art or cooking or planting herbs or, household stuff. This makes me tune into myself. It gives me the opportunity to tune into myself. So sitting with that pile of notes and knowing that, my stretch in my last Sabato course was to give a speech, to teach a class in front of everybody, which at the time was very scary. And now I don't, it's not so hard for me, but it's still to let my voice just come out of being okay with where I'm at, and just say what I'm inspired by, and being okay with that, and knowing that that's just the way it is. Like there's no jumping over. So I'm here this morning, and I'm here once a month to challenge myself to speak what I know, because I notice when I don't speak it, it's all up here and it's a lot in here. And throughout the day, any neighbor that will listen, I will pour it on them. But I have to tame the words back, because if I say too much about yakshas and slaughtering, they get a little nervous. But I went to a Sunday school I went to a Sunday school class the other night, because there's this cute little church by my house, and it's from the 1800s, a white little church, like the old American Baptist church, like you would think. And I do a lot of work from them. They hire me all the time, 2 or 3 times a week, more and more. I'm over there doing work for them. And I don't know the Bible, so I take the Bible, put it in ChatGPT, bring it to the Bhakti, and then I can teach the Bible, because it's so aligned. But I don't really go to the classes or attend the church, and somehow they're okay with that. I guess it's like you going to Prasadam for 3 years, and you don't need. I don't need to read. Not that I don't want to read the Bible, but I'm smothered in here. I like it. So Wednesday night they asked me to cook Prasadam for the church, which is a great opportunity. So I made the prasadam for the church. It took me all day. My back was hurt, my feet were hurting, but I did it. I took it over to the church in time to start their Bible study. And
That's very auspicious. The church is asking you to prepare prashadam.
this is like the 5th or 6th time. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's vegetarian, and nobody there's vegetarian. And it's offered, of course. And it's different from the food that they eat. I've been to their services over there to work with the kids. I teach art over there. I teach yoga. I teach kids Bible study. And so I know who they are, and I know what they eat, and I know how they live. So I have to be a little bit tamed. I have to bring it into context for time, place, and circumstance. But sitting there the other night, after I dropped off the food and I served everybody, they're not used to being served. They don't do that. And so I got it. They don't want me to, they don't want me to serve them. They don't want me to pour their drinks or anything. So I'm training them. Each time I do a little bit more, and each time they get a little more comfortable with it. And so they were discussing, Luke and John and some verses the other night. And I'm like, I'm just going to sit down and stay. If y'all don't mind, I'm going to just join the class. And it's so Bhagavad Gita. It's so Srimad Bhagavatam. It's just different names and different, but the pastimes are, our pastimes are, when I read them, I think, oh my gosh, this is out of this world. It is out of this world. And there's our two. It's the same, but they're so aligned. And so I commented, made a couple of comments. Nobody freaked out. I don't usually get involved with the scriptural discussion, but I used my bhakti experience. And it felt good to, I'm just learning how to use my voice. It felt good to use my voice in a setting full of Christians that I grew up Christian, but we weren't really Christian in practice. But I don't know anything. The stories I was reading with them were first time I'd ever heard them, but every one of them I could find a verse in my mind. And I was having my own discussion with Prabhupada to myself about what I thought, and then I'd say a little bit so I could participate, but I didn't want to throw anything like the yakshas at them and this more difficult stuff. But I've been in conflict with working over there because I don't align with some of the way they do things because I'm so used to what we do and this is all I know because I wasn't raised in a family that did a whole lot of spiritual activity. So this is the spirituality that I know. This is what I want. This is what I love. I'm committed to it. And going in an arena where things are done less consciously and um, very non-Satmatov communication, lots of things that ruffle my feathers over there, but I'm just surrendering to it because Krishna keeps sending me back over there. Every other day I get a text from the pastor about something, and I live right next to the church, so it feels like my neighbor. So I'm just gonna call it a prescribed duty to take my bhakti consciousness to that Christian community. It's only 58 members. It's a tiny church, but they know the Bible. It's fun to listen because all of those, it's mostly women, but there were 15 or 17 of them there the other night, and they can converse about the scriptures very beautifully. So it's really fun to listen to their depth of knowledge and hear them passionately speak about Jesus. That was really nice to sit with. I don't usually stay for that part. Anyway, so I'm back to some of the last card, which is the Manu Samhita, which is this law book, this eternal law book. It's natural law. It's the law of the land. You can't make up the laws. You can't have democracy and vote on the laws. There's certain laws that just are the way they are, and it's a standard. It's the standards for humanity that we need to live by. And Dhruv is breaking one of them right now. In this pastime, he's enraged over his brother. Now, in the beginning of Dhruva's story, he didn't even like his brother. The brother got to sit on the lap. He was the son of the favorite wife. And that the whole thing started because of the brother. And the father wouldn't side with Dhruva or Dhruva's mother. So there's this whole, I'm angry, I'm leaving, I'm going to the forest. He goes to the forest. We've been through, this pastime. And what's coming up for me right this moment is that when I read these pastimes at home, and I write notes in my journal, I've got all kind of journals full of notes that I write to myself and sticky notes and things that I want to, intentionally remember and set on my heart. But there's nobody there to talk to about it. So I talk to myself out loud. I write things on the whiteboard. I write things all the time. If anybody gives me an opportunity that is a devotee, I suck up their time. Payal knows if she stops by, she's going to get some. But the stretch to drive to Alachua and to show up for more devotional programs, like Rose is having one tomorrow from 2 to 6. Anybody wants to come, to go to the programs, even when it's inconvenient and for my time and my schedule and my duties at Prabhupada's house, it's got to be a priority. So tuning in person feels different. And when I'm leading class like I am right now, or in the mornings I do that in Mangalarti 3 days a week, it feels more like I'm actually hearing it. And because if I had to teach a class right now on Canto 1, 2, or 3 that I read without leading a live class, I remember the names, I remember Daksha and Sankhya philosophy, but I couldn't really expound on it enough to lead a class on it because it doesn't stay with me unless I sit with it enough. And yesterday, spreading it out on the table kind of brings everything, bubbles up. These key things came up out of these 2 sentences. And, I wish I could fill volumes with what I know, but I don't. But it caused me to go upstairs and get on my computer and look up Manu Samhita and go, okay, what is this thing? Is it a real thing? Is it like does it exist? Are there copies of it? Like, how did it get written down? Like, I don't know all that. And then I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. I know in my heart, we know that killing randomly of animals and helpless people is not right. And I saw Bernie Brown say something on social media the other day, and I didn't hear the whole thing, but an excerpt from it. And she was being interviewed, and she said, we know when we're out of alignment. There's a feeling that we take with us after we do that deed that's out of line. It's a yucky feeling. And if we're trying to grow and expand anything positive in our life, we can't be carrying in one hand that yucky stuff. So we've got to constantly stay in alignment. So Manu's going, well, here's the lineup. Here they are. Here's the rules of the land, the rules of the world forever and ever. That'll always be true. And so you can kill the aggressors, but you can't just randomly kill. So there's a ton more in there about a whole other subjects, but we're going to stick with the killing part. So indiscriminate killing in any circumstance, you're going to get that yucky feeling. If you've got any sort of consciousness, if you're out there and you're a warrior and you're in war torn places right now, maybe you don't feel like you're having any ill feelings and your heart's not feeling out of alignment, but it is, because you're going to come home with PTSD, and if you make it home, and you're going to probably batter your wife or the dog or something. I mean, there's going to be repercussions. And something that bothers me every day of my life is whoever's slaughtering those animals, like, what do they go home with? If there's no feeling of misalignment and breaking the law in those slaughterhouses, then that person is so lost. And I was in the food business, and I served and sold, and that's in the Manu Samhita. You can't serve it, you can't sell it, you can't cook it, you can't even give it to the neighbor. If you're touching anything to do with the slaughtered animal, you're incriminated. And so we know how many millions and billions of animals are slaughtered every day, and we know that someone's pulling the switch. Someone's rounding them up. Someone's driving them over to the slaughterhouse. Someone's processing the meat. Someone's packaging the meat. Someone's serving it in a beautiful restaurant, charging good money and going home like I was. I was going home. I wasn't eating the meat. So I thought I was clear. And it took me a long time to get that. And it took an intervention of just like this one from Dear Govinda, a lot of coaching sessions for me to understand. I could not feel it. I could not hear it. I thought I could somehow, carry that guilt in my back pocket or something. And now it's full fledged up here, and I look at it every day, and I have some healthy shame. I work with it, but I'm not dragging it like a burden anymore. But sometimes it really hits me when I see just someone driving down the road with a truck full of chickens, because that person has the implication too. Maybe they're a vegetarian. I doubt it, but let's just say they were. Maybe they've never even eaten a chicken, and they're still implicated, right? So what's going to happen to them? You're going to get the karma. So if you look at the Manu Samhita, this book, we're supposed to protect children, animals, and people that can't help themselves. We're not supposed to say, well, they're broken down, they're helpless, let's either exterminate them or leave them to themselves, just keep them back in the woods in the tents, or let's just put them away. Or in some cases, they kill them or lock them up or euthanize, whatever they're doing. And everywhere. It's not, we're not excluded from that in this country. It's getting worse. But all those people involved in that are implicated. And I've done things I'm not going to mention here that I'm implicated. I'm working on that. But protection is what a Kshatriya is supposed to do. Protection is what it says to do in the Manu Samhita. And the guardian type, fatherly type relationship, as if he says this, I'm not quoting, but as a father would a child, protect them. If you're the leader, that's your job, like you would your own children. So if you don't, society's going to pay the price. We're having a huge drought. The lake in Melrose is down like, I don't know, 50 feet. Everybody's talking about it because the water is just evaporating. We're having droughts right now in this country, and famine, and there's more homeless than ever, and blah, 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 because we're not aligned, because we're slaughtering all the animals, because there's genocide, because there's Hitlers of the world, there's things going on, and it's messing with the cosmic reaction is all twisted because they're not following the monotone, the natural law. So in that book also, I saw and read somewhere that if you're not you've got to follow all Krishna and all his incarnations, every one of them, especially Krishna. But all the incarnations are giving us all these books of pastimes, and they're all for our benefit, so we can unwind that mess we've gotten ourselves into in Kali Yuga. Yeah, it's so all this is not happening in Kali Yuga. So I think this was maybe Satya.
Yeah, such a good,
Yeah. Um, so it's hard. My brain can go, well, why is Drew even doing this? Then I thought he was pure. He saw God. Why is he doing this? But it's to teach us, right? I mean, it's showing us and to show you that even when you're a devotee and a strong, powerful devotee, and even when you're the king, we have to rely on Krishna. We still have to hear and listen. I mean, nobody gets to coast. There's no graduation event where you just get the diploma and put it up on the wall and go, okay, now I got this. I can coast. It's a daily regimen, daily. So Dhruva had this unnecessary anger. He lost it. It shouldn't have happened. It doesn't seem like it would have happened, but we're hearing this absolute truth that it did happen. And so um, if Dhruv is not following the law, then everybody's going to go, oh, I'm going to just go over there and take care of that person I don't like. And well, my brother had this happen. I'm going to shoot that guy. And that's kind of what we're looking at right now in this world, is like people do the craziest stuff for no valid reason, from jealousy. I mean, look how many people kill their spouses and then commit suicide, or kill the children, and just because she looked at this man the wrong way, or maybe she had an affair. Like that, there's no sense about it. There's a lot in the Manu Samhita, from what I understand. Again, I don't know, I don't want to preach about it, but about women's rights and laws with women, and behavior for women and family life. And so it's worth taking a look at if we want to go deeper. I always feel like, let me just study these two sets right here, because I can't even get that down in my heart all the way. But Dhruv is sort of blinded by revenge. He's out there and he can't think straight. So he's got these magical, wonderful Narayanastra arrows, and he's whizzing them through the air and nothing's touching him. Body parts are falling from the sky because he's shooting 130,000 yakshas. So they're just pieces of body parts plopping from the sky. And way back a few chapters, it talked about plundering these yakshas had these jeweled up, really fancy warrior outfits on, and crowns and helmets and stuff. And so there's all that going on. Whoever kills whoever is the side that is winning the battle gets to take the loot, the bounty they call it. And Prabhupada used the word bounty. You don't hear that word very often. The bounty. So the yakshas and their bounty is spread all over. Dhruva and his one chariot driver are untouched. Even when it's showering so thick, it's like he described as something like clouds. You couldn't even see. It's so heavy with bodies coming down. He still doesn't get touched. And they think there's so much chaos going on that they're looking, and like, it looks like we might have got him, but then everything clears up and there he is. And so he's got the Lord's protection, and he's got his weapons that were given him by the Lord. And he's got family, he's got this teacher stepping in and showing, redirecting the course. So yeah, thanks for redirecting my course through Govinda. That was a hard year for me to listen to my coach telling me things I didn't want to hear, things I was embarrassed about, things that were too difficult to let go of. And yet I've learned through that experience that when we let go of that stuff that we think is making us comfortable, there's something. Krishna, his payback is like one step forward, 10,000 steps towards us. So it's like if I can get out of my way of being fearful, then what's coming when I let go of that fear of letting go of business, letting go of income, letting go of habits, letting go of relationships, then the more beautiful things that Krishna has in mind for me to be his instrument. There's space for that to show up, because I was all in it. I had a guard around myself. I had everything figured out on my own way, and there's no space for Krishna to peek even in there. Although Prabhupada, I don't know why I got rescued. I don't understand how I got here, but there's so much resonance that I think at least once a day I think about how I got here and how grateful I am. And I think, and when I'm having those thoughts, I think Krishna could see something and he set me up for this. You know, he guided me through that treacherous career of meat serving. And I had to go there to be here. I had a lot of strength. I was a powerful businesswoman. I was so good at it. I just love that ego feeling. I love being good at something. And it wasn't what I went to school for. So being good at something and being told constantly that I was good at something and being paid well for it, it was just the best feeling. And to say, well, is there anything better than this? Well, it didn't feel that good when I got home at night. Sometimes it was like ridiculous, even though during the day when I had my mask on of like, oh, these people work for me and I've got all these things and everybody's calling and saying I'm awesome, like this feels good. And then at night there was emptiness. And then when I wasn't working and took vacations, there's only so many places you can go visit and hike and camp and do all the things I love to do. And I kept having an empty feeling at the end. And that yuckiness that was unexplainable. I didn't know there was an answer for it. I certainly wasn't like you're going to looking for God, but there was something in there. When the call came, I heard a little something, and so I don't understand why I had to be in my 50s. I would have liked to have been born in this stuff and been doing it all along, and have a bhakti household at home and grown up with these songs and prayers and books and to know these stories deeply by heart by now. But that wasn't what Krishna had in mind. But I'm grateful for the intervention that I had from Dear Govinda, Malini, and Sabatov, and patience, coaching, LMPs, all the things. They all added up to Kalipani, out of the blue, some devotee wants to come stay at my house. He's 62. He's been in it since he was a teen or 20 years old. He knows everything in these books. I don't know anything. And he wants to read at my house and get up and show me how to offer the food and all the things that that ushering me along. So if I'd go sideways a little bit, I could feel it from him. And I could feel it from Dear Govinda and Melanie, but I kept coming back because there was something, that resonance, that heartfelt. This feels like the way life is supposed to feel, a little more resonant, connected to something important instead of all this meaningless stuff. So, yeah, I'm getting off a little tangent, but spiritual progress. So Dhruva he has to be stopped because he's got a mission. He's got a whole planet, Dhruvaloka, to go to. He can't be spiraling downward right now. He's got stuff to do. So he's in this 36,000 year sentence of running his kingdom. And the time was different back then, so I don't know how long that was, but he's going to go to the spiritual planet. So he can't be accepting this negative karma. He's got to listen to his grandfather, and I don't know. I don't read ahead, and I don't know these stories. This is my first time reading them. So I don't know what happened. So to me, it's like always feeling like on the edge of a seat and it's a movie and wondering what happened. But I try to stay with it because of the way my brain thinks. It's like, just take it a piece at a time and stick with it and understand what Prabhupada's saying in this one verse. And Prabhupada just skipped right over it. He doesn't even say, no comment, not one comment. And yet I could go on for a week about it. So I don't know why he decides and how he does that, because then sometimes he'll say something like, you just told us that back there, and it's that again, and oh my God, it's in Bhagavad Gita too. Okay, but then there's nothing on this one. So I trust his instinct, and what he's sharing with us is pure. So this progress is Dhruva's headed up there, and he gets sidetracked. So obviously somebody has to intervene or his lineage is going to fall apart and it won't be good. And so everybody's doing the right thing in the kingdom right now, and we don't need to mess that up. And then I'll just touch again on skin disease. Like his father had it in the beginning, the father favored the one wife and favored the son. Now that son's dead, the father's gone to find himself in the forest, and he's looking for, he's doing what people are supposed to do at that age. Okay, I've raised my kids, but he left a little early. It says Prabhupada spent some time talking about, well, why didn't he stay till and pick out Dhruva's wife, and why wasn't he part of the wedding and the ceremony and the grandkids and then go? Because Dhruva was so amazing and so pure, he's like, I don't need to. He's got it, and I need to get on with my progress. He's already done his job in the kingdom, so now it's Dhruva's turn. So he could have stayed. He could have had skin disease with Dhruva, and Dhruva could have had skin disease with his wives and kids. And there's lots of people in that palace, I'm sure, to be attached to. And right now, Dhruva's attached to these yakshas for killing his brother, even though the brother, it doesn't make sense, but I guess they bonded. You remember the big parade when they came into town? That was my last class. So the parade's coming through town, and everybody's welcoming Dhruva home. He's a pure devotee. Everybody's excited. Everybody's participating. The entire kingdom is out on the street, just cheering and excited. And Dhruva has a job now to teach the society how to be aligned with the Manusanhita laws. And so the brother and him rode together. And that was a really touching moment in this story, because the brother's the reason he left. The brother, he is the one that got him so angry to start with. And now they're on the palanquin together, or the elephant. I can't remember. They were riding together. The moms were together. They didn't like each other. Now they do. Now the boys are together. Everybody's happy. And so I guess that bonding moment, and then they grew up the rest of their lives together. So this Yaksha killing his brother is a reason to go start a war with these. So skin disease is like the root, like it causes so much suffering. I mean, I know I coached with Sri Govinda many times about my relationship with my father. I hardly think about it anymore. It's taken a lot of time, but it was so distracting. I cried, I lamented, I paced, ugh, coached. I spent, I don't know how many thousands of dollars in therapy trying to work that out. And it just doesn't matter to me right now. So that's a good feeling. He's a man. He lives down there, and I see him occasionally, but I don't get all tangled up in his world anymore. And that skin disease, I feel grateful that I don't have that for him. I still have tinges of it. I still have some family, so there's some disease in there. But Dhruva had a bad case of it. That's chapter 2, verse 7, and Bhagavad Gita speaks about not wasting time, being overly affectionate for family, society, and country. And look what we've done with that. Oh my God, the people, the Democrats, the Republicans, the blacks and the whites, like everything's, ugh. So, all right, so I'll just end with course correction. That's my topic. That was my big piece of this pie, is that we're if Dhruva's going to stumble, then we're definitely going multiple times a day, an hour. So there's course correction to be had. We have leaders and teachers to go to. We have Prabhupada directly available any moment. We have an amazing community like no other of people that graduate. I mean, there's so many coaches graduating, and all of my friends have taken coach training, and I have I can text them and get a person on the line immediately to hear what I'm going through. And I'm also available when Payal's kids drive her crazy, or Rose is having a moment with her dying animals. It's being available and having that association with each other. Prabhupada says all the time, association is really important in bhakti. So if I follow my desire to live in the woods by myself, which I think about every day, because I get so tired of people coming and going at Prabhupada's house. Sometimes they're not devotees in the true sense of the word, but they're beautiful people. But sometimes it's annoying just to have to always keep the house clean and always feed people, and it feels a little bit awkward sometimes. And so I'll think, oh, I'll just take my Bhagavatam and go, and I'll just read. But I know I can't do that, because I'll be, if this happened to Dhruva, what's going to happen to me? So we need each other. We need our teachers, and we're so blessed to have dear Govinda, in this I mean, we're here, there's a temple full of devotees and there's all kinds of other devotees and all sorts of devotees around here. We have YouTube, we have books, I mean, there's books on tape, there's no excuse now. There's really no excuse. It's just don't isolate because it's tempting, it's tempting sometimes because material life is so distracting. But course correcting, so that anybody who's watching, without me having an ego about what I'm doing in my life. I'm proud of myself in some ways, in other ways I'm completely embarrassed, but I just see my neighbors in Melrose that I've developed relationships with as watching me, and I feel a standard to uphold there. And I feel like I don't want to let them down because they trust me now. And like I said, the church, all my neighbors, one of my neighbors is going to come to our program tomorrow at Rose's. And so it's a job. It's a prescribed duty for me to share with them, and I don't want to let them down, and I don't want to let you guys down. I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to let Prabhupada down, Krishna down. So even when it's hard, even when it doesn't make sense, even when I'm tired, even when it's like constantly course correct. And we got to know this knowledge. I mean, we have to practice it. We have to hear it over and over and over. And Prabhupada says it over and over and over. And it just is like, why doesn't all sink in better? But I'm trying. I mean, we keep trying. Prabhupada uses that word all the time, and I'm so glad. It makes me feel better when I read it. Just try to learn the truth. Just got to try. He doesn't say, don't come see me until you've read all this and got your master's degree. Just come now, bring the tools you've got. Let's figure out how you can use them in Krishna service. And then when you wander off and you default, go back to one of the leaders, or in this case, Krishna sent Swayambhu, right? I mean, I assume, I don't know if it said that, but I think he felt called to go because of that. He's aligning the law back in the land, but he's also, Krishna sent somebody that Dhruva would respond to, and Krishna's going to send people that will respond to if we're not isolated. And he probably would do it even if you're isolated, if you feel like that's what you needed. But it feels like if I surround myself and I put myself in all these situations, I'm going to have a lot better chance of one of y'all going, I need to talk to you, or why are you doing that, or look at that, and it's hard to be corrected, right? It's I listen to Rashi Sheikha a lot, and he makes his crowd say out loud all the time, I stand to be corrected. He says, say it back, I stand to be corrected. I'd like to be corrected. Who wants that? It feels like you got in trouble with the principal or mom or somebody, but that's how it is. We need to stand to be corrected. So I think that's all I want to say. There's a whole lot more. I could probably go for hours, but that's enough for today. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, thank you for inspiring my heart and for giving me this circle of devotional association opportunity to spread my wings and use my voice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I welcome any comments or questions. I'll do my best to answer you or respond.
I'm just taking a look who's online.
Rukmini Rosa Anandini.
Hare
Present.
Krishna.
And E. Oh, that's Rukmini. Okay. Rukmini and Rukmini. I'm not sure why it has two Rukminis. Are there two Rukminis, or is she recording something?
We have a few Rukminis in our community.
And we do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hello to both of you. There are two of you.
I appreciated your presentation very much, Laksmipriya. Thank you. Now we can turn that.
Oh, Miss Alice, you're right.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah, and I appreciate also I can relate, to do like handwriting and paper. I prefer that over digital, and it's like there's something more connected there. And appreciated your philosophical and and personal sharing all integrated. And yes, Srila Prabhupada, and he mentions Manu Samhita a lot. He mentions Manu Samhita a lot. And he's described there's 20 types of like shastras with rules and regulations, and the primary of them is Manu Samhita. And yeah, we can imagine like if Prabhupada was, let's call it like, physical presence manifests longer, along with Vedanta Sutra and Mahabharata and the Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami, he would give us Manu Samhita. Essentially, though, like, it's like Prabhupada emphasizes that Smartavya Satatam Vishnu, Smartavya Najatu Chit. Okay, there's all these rules and regulations, and the essence of all of them, the essence of all of them is to always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And so, like, Srila Prabhupada is giving us the basic principles and guidelines and rules and regulations that'll keep us on track to not get distracted by so many rules and regulations, and to not whimsically neglect structures that'll really help us to move towards always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And described similarly, anukulyasya sankalpa partikulyasya varjana, that the basic principle, accept everything favorable, to become enthusiastic to serve, and reject anything not favorable. And so and then we kind of like understand, like we get the basic guidelines, or even lots of specific guidelines. Like that's what it means, like that Srila Prabhupada as our current link. Like I understand Manu Samhita, I understand the Sandarbhas through Srila Prabhupada. And we might, because I think they're like we could probably find penguin editions or Gita Press editions of Manu Samhita and like that. And then, if we decide it's our dharma, it's our service to go there, then we endeavor to read everything, process everything through the pure lenses of our current direct living link to the Parampara, Srila Prabhupada, like that. We can imagine that maybe more and more it's like followers of Prabhupada become leaders of nations and things like that. Then there might be more research into the details of Manu Samhita like that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for everyone. It seems like I have trouble pushing anything under the rug. Like if there's a new word or some book or something I want to go, I need to see a little bit about. So because especially if I keep seeing it or it sounds familiar. Good morning, from Hare Krishna. So yeah, I tend to be researchy, but not in a academic, like I need to memorize. I just like, I have a lot of curiosity and enthusiasm or I have an inverse effect of reading stuff and going, I don't even know what this is talking about, but I'm just gonna keep reading. That feels weird to me. Like I tend to go, well, let me go look a little bit. Let me just get a touch and see if I can kind of bring this into my sphere of knowing. And then, yeah, it's tempting because even preparing for this class, thinking like, I could just pick one thing. I could just pick one thing out of this stat, like the strength of the strong, and do a whole thing on that.
Yeah.
And I could just focus on that one. But my personality is not like that. It likes to have variety and texture and color and depth. And I'm an artist. I'm a teacher. I'm a cook. Everything I do is filled with variety. And so, and Anasuya and I go at this a lot in conversation because she's very regulated and smooth and practical, and we're so opposite. And I just couldn't ever sit in an office. I could never do the things, and yet she's perfectly likes the nature of what she has. And so it's I bring it into everything I do, and it's a struggle sometimes because I want the variety. I could have made 20 more cards if this was a 3 hour class, and I would have enjoyed the heck out of it. Or make it a 3 part series just on one verse with no purport, because there's so much that I don't know. And in order to know it, I'm going to have to read and study and write and think and teach, or it won't stick. And it doesn't feel like it becomes part of my realization. And there's so much more that I mean, I have pages of notes I made yesterday that I'm not even touching on because they're still new concepts or concepts I'm not able to speak avidly on right now.
You're researching in the spirit of Bhakti.
Yeah.
I mean, mind you, Srila Prabhupada would say that one time his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, in Dhaka, I guess what is now Pakistan, but it was East Bengal, his spiritual master spoke on the first verse of Bhagavatam every day for 3 months.
Yeah.
Just on the first verse. And Prabhupada said every
Totally
verse
relate.
is like that. And
Yeah.
so I'm very enlivened by how you're taking this one verse without a purport. And I may have gone to the next verse.
Yeah, we usually do.
Yeah, we usually do. And taking this one verse, and that's the spirit of Srila Prabhupada. So like every verse is like that. It's unlimited. And so that's coming alive in your approach and presentation. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, if you only gave us one verse or a little booklet, we'd feel unsatisfied because we would teach it, learn it, read it, hear it every day. But there's just the richness of hearing at it for all these different angles and over is what builds that reformation of heart or purification. Yeah, it has to be this way. But I say a lot of times in my thoughts is like, it's repetitive. It's so much volume. How am I ever gonna like? And I have to just stop that nonsense and just go. Well, let's just focus on this. And this could take. That's why I'm never getting my questions answered in a timely manner. But who cares? Like I'm believe me, there's a desk full of chapter 7 over my house at Prabhupada's house. My bedroom is full of chapter 7 right now, and I can't get to chapter 8. We're gonna be on 9 before you know it, and then I can feel that behind pressure. So then I just have to put something and let it go, and it never feels complete. And yet it always feels complete. So whatever.
I see that Anandini has her hand up.
Hi, Anandini. What do I do?
Hare Krishna, Laksmipriya.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you for your class. I'm inspired by your enthusiasm for Srimad Bhagavatam and to really meditate on one verse and go into every word and aspect. And yeah, many things you shared got me thinking and looking at, well, what's my understanding about this and what's my understanding about that. And I really liked when you spoke about the strength that when we use, so Krishna gives me strength, and then when I use it to serve Krishna, like when I offer it back, I notice that then the strength doesn't diminish, it doesn't become less. And when I'm using the strength to like move away from Krishna or turn away from him, then I burn out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I liked how when you put it apart, the strength to cook, the strength to get up early, the strength to chant, just made it very tangible and practical for me.
Yeah.
And I wish I could go to a lecture on the Bible and join the conversation and just try to figure out how can I bring in Bhagavad Gita and Srila Prabhupada's teachings in the words that, in the words of the Bible or the words of the Christian. I'm fascinated by that. So I appreciate your sharing. And then one last thing, what you spoke about, to stand to be corrected. I thought, oh yes, that's the way to move forward, like to be humble, and just, this is who I am, this is where I'm at, this is my understanding, and then I can learn from there, to not be afraid of making mistakes or not looking good.
Yeah.
That's a way to be corrected. So thank you. It was very practical and tangible for me, all that you shared.
Thank you, Anadi. Hare Krishna. I feel self-conscious about my practical, personal side of the way I lead class, but that's where I'm at. And so thank you for being gracious and showing up and listening and for being able to glean a few takeaways from it that can excite you and give back some enthusiasm. I definitely don't have a shortage of enthusiasm. I just have a shortage of recipients who can tolerate it because I overwhelm people with my rajasic enthusiasm sometimes with I want to do everything all the time. And so yeah. And when we use it in Krishna, like Krishna service, that energy, that strength, yeah, it's not depleting. And then like sometimes I drag myself to teach yoga and I wish there was a way out because I'm not in the mood and my body's tired because I had a lot going on that day. And I drag myself. But if I take something from Bhagavad Gita and I can find something in it to carry with me to teach, like subliminal teaching in the class, because it's a Christian group as well, is they're open, they're completely open slates, but they're I have to be careful, you know, because I'm in a church and so forth, but um Bhagavad Gita translates so easily, and so I can teach them some Sanskrit just in the asanas, you know, because like we learned Bhujangasana last night, you know, Cobra. We if I teach them easy seat like it's Sukhasana, then I that night I taught them about the dualities of you know and a Pachincha Vedanta, but they don't know it, but that's what the class is about, and so we that those classes, they're alive, I'm vibrant, we leave like on fire, on with glorious feelings in our heart, and we practice this sort of when we have those kind of classes, because I'm aligned. Sometimes I'm not. I mean, it's always good, but sometimes I'm really on fire. Like yesterday, I did put this together yesterday afternoon, and then I went straight to teach yoga at 6. So last night's class was amazing, and you could feel it because I'm preaching this to them in the yoga class without, you know, it didn't sound like this, but yeah, to be received and feel that everybody's enlivened and alive and leaves inspired and focused, and I always say at the end, like, take it home with you, like don't drop it here at the desk at the floor. I tell them, leave everything here that you want God to clean up for you, because he's going to sweep up when we're done, but take the energy. I want you so enlivened by this that when you're driving home, I say this to them every time. It's kind of a joke, but it's true. It's like when you get to the red light down there in Melrose, people in the car next to you need to know you just went somewhere amazing and spent an hour and a half with God. And when you get home, I want your family to recognize that energy and be alive with it. And so that's your homework. Every time I say that's your homework, and then next week I check in on them. It's an amazing group of people. And it's also, I know that it's not me. Now, if I was catering for, I don't know, the Gainesville Retreat Center, and it was a group of whatever, something I'm unaligned with, it's cooking, and it can turn into cooking and delivering food and those kind of feelings. It's the strength is there when I'm preparing the prasadam and offering it, but there's a nagging kind of feeling of heaviness that I'm out of alignment and I don't want to do this. I feel sometimes when I prepare or serve in ways that don't feel aligned with who I am and who I want to be, there's that I was saying, what's her name talked about, Bernie Brown, like it's that sticky kind of heaviness that there's other things I could do with my time that would be more service to Srila Prabhupada. These people that I'm serving aren't responding, and they're not respectful, and they're it doesn't, if my value is not being taken as the way I'd like for it to be. And so I can find someone else to something else to do with that time and that energy. Yeah, the strength. And this verse was when we talked last week. It's been stuck with me since we read it in chapter 7. And then I taught a class on it last week in Mangalarti. So it's such a fascinating verse to keep going back to, the strong. Like everything I've got, any strength in it all is coming from Krishna. This is not me. Because so easy to think it's our own. We mustered it up. It's willpower, you know. Thank you for your positive feedback, and Anandini, and I'm glad you're walking away with some inspirations, and I appreciate your presence. Anybody else want to share anything or say? We ready to in class? Rosa, anything? You're my most famous question asker. Rosa hears me all the time. Though she's
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I do have a question about the book that you said you were going to read about, I guess, fighting and war, and I've forgotten the name of it. What was the name of it?
You're speaking about the Manu Samhita?
Monos. Is that kind of like the Bhagavad Gita, where it's like part of a greater whole?
I don't know much about it, so you'd have to ask Dear Govinda. It's kind of like the original law book of all of man's humanity, but I don't know. I know this much, so I don't know if it's a group of books, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, the Manu Samhita. So this is one of the great Vedic authorities is Manu. There's 14 Manus in the day of Brahma. Here we're hearing about Svayambhuva Manu, the current Manu, that because Manu is discussed in Bhagavad Gita. Imam Vivashvate Yogam Bhoktavana Hamya Adiya. Manadev. In the first verse of chapter 4, Krishna speaks about Manu, and Manu is the son of the sun god, Manu's son Ikshvaku, Manu Ikshvaku Bravit. And so Manu gives the English word man comes from the Sanskrit Manu. So Manu gives the law books for humans, and so it's a Vedic literature coming from Manu. Manu gives the law books for humans, and that's what the Manu Samhita is. There are English translations. You found some online. There are printed English translations. Srila Prabhupada refers to the Manu Samhita often, and here we're hearing about one of the Manus. The two Manus we hear most about are Swayambhuva and Vaivashvata.
And thank you, Your Govinda. I remember from a purport, but I don't remember which one, how it talks about the Vedas giving us basically rules and ways to kind of get out of tamasic nature, and and that sort of thing. And people can get stuck in the Vedas because they're looking for profit or looking for this or looking for that. But the way you describe the Manus kind of reminds me of like it's a structure of rules. Is it related to the Vedas? Separate? I don't.
The Manu Samhita is a Veda.
Oh.
That gets into a topic. The Bible is a Veda. The Quran is a Veda. Veda means knowledge, and the Ayurveda. It's the Veda on medical science. The Dhanurveda, the Veda on military science, and so Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, they're part of the Smriti Veda. So Veda means knowledge, and Krishna says, importantly, Krishna says, Vedastra Vedescha Saver Ahameva Veda. Krishna says, I am the compiler of the Veda, Vedantika Veda Veda Vacham. And the purpose of all the Vedas is Krishna, is to come to full pure bhakti to Krishna. This entire house could be filled with bookshelves of the Vedas, and it wouldn't be big enough. So the Vedas, the Vedas are vast and vast, and Prabhupada gave us the Vedas that are most essential for us: Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and a few of the literatures from the Goswamis and Sri Upanishad. So so the Manu Samhita is one of the Vedas given by Manu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
I don't mean to open up another can of worms for you, Rosa, because I know you like to research too. But yeah, it's mentioned here, and because he's a part of this pastime, and he's mentioned Bhagavad Gita, I just did a little peek, and that's all I'm going to do. But it was interesting to read a few of the laws, and I don't even know how credited the ones I read, but I read the one about slaughtering and killing because that's the topic in this chapter, and it's intense, and it was eye-opening and heartfelt and true. It felt like what this is, the ultimate truth, like the absolute truth. There's no discussion needed. It's like, I like that. And then it just made me think about how we are with our laws. And in college, I worked in a law library, Cumberland Law School in Alabama, and it was, I mean, I don't know, the experience was crazy because the laws changing all the time, and so you have to take all the old books out and put the new books in. There's dumpsters where all those books go, and I was just at one school, and it's a small private Christian school in Alabama. So go to big law school like Harvard, the amount of books that go in the trash is astronomical because the laws change so much. You got to pull the old one out, put the new one in every day, thousands of them. Did y'all even know that? And it's like, I'm like, can't somebody use these books for something? This is a waste of paper. We didn't have internet back then. It probably is, but still, you got to have the paper book. I mean, still they're doing it. So much paper. But the laws, they're being voted on change, and everybody's got a side of the story. And when one person leaves office, here we go again, switch them out. Well, this is more of a solid, like this is the absolute law, and it applies to everything. So it's not about democracy, and it's not about personal preference and personal power. Yeah, that's what I got from it, from just taking a 5-minute peek. And then, yeah, couldn't go down that rabbit hole. Thank you for following up on it. That was exciting. Little, I read the section on killing, and I read the section on women. And didn't even read all of that because a lot about women in there. But it's not. I don't need to read. I don't need to know that right now. Anyway, thank you. Does that clear up your question? You know what we're talking about now?
Yes, it gives me more questions as usual, but I'll leave it there. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'll just read the verse one more time and then we'll close class. This is Canto 4, Chapter 11. Swayambhuva Manu advises Dhruva Maharaj. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My dear son, it has been proved that you are very much affectionate towards your brother and are greatly aggrieved at his being killed by the yakshas. But just consider for one yaksha offense, you've killed many others who are innocent. It seems like that whole talk would have been about slaughterhouses, but there's so much more. But yeah, obvious killing the innocent is being addressed here. We're overcorrecting through this behavior. We're overcorrecting and seeing insight into our own redirecting, and I want to leave this class with the ability to ask for help, the ability to notice when I'm off course, and gratitude for my association and Srila Prabhupada in his books teaching me how to have a purposeful life. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Srimad Bhagavatam Ki.
Jai.
Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Rosa, Rukmini, Anandina, thank you for being here.
Thank you, John. Yeah.
I'm not there to participate in post-class discussion. Another thing came up for me. I can ask it another time, or I could write you, David, unless you're available for a moment.
I'm going to get into serving prasad at this